Okay guys, here in a nutshell with me, Ina. It's been 2 weeks since naging batas itong Bill C-12. At ito na, nararamdaman na natin siya. Ang una pong natatamaan, okay, uunahan ko na kayo, no, hindi po mass cancellation. Ang pag-uusapan natin, wala pong nangyayaring ganyan sa ngayon. Okay, kung yan po ang akala ninyong magiging topic, no. As expected, ang una naman po talagang tatamaan nitong Bill C-12 ay yung mga asylum claimants. Okay? By the way, guys, no, before I proceed, technically speaking, hindi na po dapat tawagin itong Bill C-12. Kasi hindi na siya bill. Ibig sabihin, hindi na siya panukalang batas. Isa na siyang ganap na batas. Yun nga lang, guys, napakahaba po kasi nung pangalan ng batas na ito. It is technically called Strengthening Canada's Immigration System and Borders Act. Napakahaba, no? So, I hope you don't mind, baka meron pong mga OC dyan, ano? I hope you don't mind. Bill C-12 ko pa rin po siya tatawagin. Total, dyan naman po siya kilala. Okay, now moving forward. Itong asylum claimants. Tignan po ninyo itong report na ito, no? This was reported April 10, 2026 ng CBC News. Meron daw mga 30,000 asylum claimants na maaari nang maging ineligible. Hindi na sila magpo-proceed doon sa hearing. Okay? Bakit? Isa po kasi sa pinakamalaking change na nilagay po dyan sa Bill C-12 ay, bali ganito, no? Kapag meron pong dumating dito na tao, whether naka-work permit, student permit, kung balak po yan mag-claim ng asylum, gusto niyang maging refugee, kailangan i-file niya na yung petition niya na yan within 1 year of arriving here. Nangyayari po kasi, no, dumating halimbawa ng student, nag-aaral pa ng ilang buwan, okay, o isang taon, mahigit isang taon, and then, tsaka nag-claim ng asylum. Madalas po yan mangyari noon. So now, hindi na po pwede yun. Automatic, kumbaga hindi ka na eligible, hindi na ma-approve ang iyong application dahil po dito sa Bill C-12. So now that it is in effect, reports are saying nag-umpisa na raw pong magpadala ng sulat ang IRCC sa mga asylum claimants na makikita na nila na yung date ng kanilang submission ay more than 1 year from their arrival. Okay? Basahin po natin itong report ng CBC News, ano? Ayan, Canada's Immigration Department is sending tens of thousands of refugee claimants letters that they may not be eligible for asylum and is telling some of them that they should leave immediately. Ayun na nga, the move comes after Ottawa passed last month. Ito na nga pong Bill C-12. Pero sinestress po nung IRCC, hindi daw po ito deportation letters. Okay, these are still considered PFLs, Procedural Fairness Letters. Okay, at mismong IRCC din na nag-confirm. Letters have started going out to some 30,000 applicants. Ayun, so sabi dito, the PFLs are routinely used across many programs to give applicants an opportunity to provide additional information before a decision is made. So in a way, kahit na siguro nakikita dun sa date, no, na nag-file sila ng asylum claim 1 year after their arrival, they still have a chance to explain themselves, perhaps provide additional information if they still want to fight for their asylum claim. Alright? Ito daw po yung isang, nakasulat dito sa report, no, yung portion nung letter na pinapadala ngayon dito sa mga taong ito. Nakasulat, I have determined that your claim for refugee protection may be ineligible to be referred to the Refugee Protection Division of the Board of Canada. Kasi nga, the letter says, the applicant entered Canada, for example, in 2024 and submitted their application more than a year later. Okay, so take note guys, ano, itong Bill C-12, kahit bagong pasa ito, affected kahit yung mga asylum claims filed before Bill C-12 became a law. Actually, this similar issue was also discussed in this report sa Globe and Mail. Ano naman po ito earlier this month, I think April 1 or 2, no? Nakasulat rin po dito, scores of asylum claimants warned they may face deportation after immigration law passes. Ang kinukot naman po dito, yung SILA, isang grupo po ng mga immigration lawyers, organisasyon ng mga immigration lawyers. Ang sabi nga po nila, no, the letters have caused panic among clients waiting for their cases to be assessed by the Independent Immigration and Refugee Board and who now face removal from Canada. Okay, syempre nga naman, ano, halimbawa, kahit na may pagkakataon naman po silang magresponde dito sa PFL, if hindi pa rin po ma-convince ang IRCC na karapat-dapat silang mag-grant, it will inevitably eventually lead to a removal order for these people, no? Unless they find some other way to transition into another status or makakuha po ng ibang permit, no? Sabi po nung sila, ng grupo po ng mga abogado, ang inaasahan nila dahil dito sa Bill C-12, marami ngayon tatakbo sa korte para questionin ang legalidad ng ginagawa ng bagong batas na ito. Specifically, no, para questionin kung tama ba itong ginagawa nila sa mga potential refugees na ito. Baka po may nagtatanong, okay, Ina, hindi naman masyado, hindi naman malapit sa mga Pilipino ang issue ng refugees. Puntahan natin, no? Yung mass cancellation. Mangyayari pa kaya yan? May update pa tayo dyan. Una sa lahat, uulitin ko, no? Doon sa first minute natin ng episode, wala pong ganyang nangyayari sa ngayon. Wala pa pong senyales na may balak gamitin ng IRCC ang mass cancellation powers nito. Okay, under Bill C-12. Pero, I would like to share with you this document. This is from Canada.ca. Okay. December 4, ay hindi pala naka-up, sorry guys. Ayan, December 4, 2025 po ito. Parang talking points for IRCC posted on Canada.ca. So, about more than 3 months before naipasa po, naging batas ng Bill C-12. Nakasulat po dito, no, yung mga pagkakataon kung kailan maaaring gamitin o balak gamitin ng IRCC ang mass authorities nito to cancel immigration documents. Ito po yan. Kita nyo, potential uses of mass authorities. Okay, sabi dito, we cannot speculate on how or when the governor and council may wish to use these powers and would like to emphasize that these authorities daw are meant to be used exceptionally when needed to protect the public interest. Meron pong mga examples na binigay dito. An example might include a pandemic where the government may want to suspend visas for clients abroad to pause travel to Canada. Okay? Para kunyari nga naman, no, nagkaroon ng COVID worldwide. Kahit PR ka sa ibang bansa, hindi ka munang papayagan makapasok dito just to avoid the spread of the virus. Okay? Basically, to protect Canadian public health. Suspension may then be lifted, for example, after the risk subsides. Yan. Or, sabi dito, or after clients provide evidence of a vaccine or health test. Yan. O pwede rin daw gamitin tong mass authorities na to extend the validity of work permits issued to doctors or other medical workers in Canada. Likely, ang konteksto nito, still, no, kunyari merong public health emergency ulit, tulad nung nangyari ng pandemic. Other examples could include kapag magkaroon daw ng cybersecurity attack, where a vast number of fraudulent immigration documents were issued in the system, potentially requiring mass canceling of the documents to ensure that nefarious actors cannot use them to travel to Canada. Sa panahon ngayon, hindi nga naman po ito imposible. Baka may mag-hack sa sistema ng IRCC, mag-issue ng isang batch na mga peking, biglang mga PR na agad itong isang grupo ng mga taong ito. So pag magyari po yan, pwede raw po gamitin itong mass cancellation authorities under Bill C-12. Okay? Pwede rin daw, ito lagi natin pinag-uusapan, pwede gamitin where large-scale fraud trends were to be observed. These authorities could also be used to cancel or suspend documents and applications for documents based on known fraud indicators. Ito talaga sa totoo lang, kung meron akong susuportahan na mass cancellation, itong aspeto na yan. Sana lang, siyempre, malinis yung kanilang sistema ng pag-detect ng fraud. Halimbawa, mapatunayan na meron talagang isang malokong agency na nagbibigay lagi ng peking job offers para makaprocess ng LAMIA, makakuha ng work permit. I wouldn't mind kung lahat ng naiprosesong work permits ng agency na yon halimbawa ay i-cancel ng sabay-sabay. I don't mind. Yan ang isa sa mga inaabangan ko, no guys? At ito last, isa pang example na binigay dito. These authorities could be used to change conditions on temporary residents in Canada to respond to social or economic matters that concern the public interest. For example daw, pwede i-modify yung authorized length of stay ng mga naka-work permit, for example. Or pwede rin i-amend or modify yung restrictions kung saan sila pwede magtrabaho. O, diba? Sabi yung allowing persons, for example, to work in different locations across Canada where there is an increased demand. Okay, so yan lang po ang nakasulat dito. I know you guys are wondering, no, if it will ever happen that Bill C-12 will be used to cancel applications, immigration programs, mga ganyan. The way I see it, technically, the way I understand it, mukhang pwede siya gawin kung babasahin mo yung authority, no? Pwede. Pero yun ba ang intensyon nila nung ginawa nila tong batas na ito? Kung pagbabatayan po yung article na kakabasa lang natin, hindi po naka-mention naman doon. Diba? Hindi po naka-mention doon. Okay, before I end this episode, by the way, medyo related na rin. Naalala nyo itong issue ng Auditor General, yung inaudit po, di ba recently, yung International Student Program, at isa po sa mga findings nila ay merong mahigit 150,000 international students na na-flag na potentially non-compliant. Doon sa mahigit 150,000, di ba, parang in 2 years, 4,000 lang daw ang inimbestigahan. Tapos sa 4,000 na yan, parang ang laking bulto dyan, hindi rin parang tinapos yung investigation. Remember that? O, di ba? Dahil dyan, binatikos ng gusto na naman yung IRCC. Bakit naman kayo ganun? Hindi nyo, kakaunti na nga lang yung inimbestigahan ninyo, hindi nyo pa tinapos. Di ba? Ngayon, mukhang meron ng action din ng IRCC dahil dyan sa report na yan. Meron pong mga sineshare ngayon na letters ang ilang mga immigration practitioners on social media, letters apparently being sent to international students. Some international students. And I would like to know, baka meron tayong mga kababayan na naka-receive ng ganitong sulat. Okay? Para siyang compliance check. No? Let me put up one of the letters posted on X. No? Shinare po ito, nakita ko. Medyo mahaba. Sige, puntahan ko lang yung bandang gitna na. Okay? Sabi dito, in order for us to verify your compliance with the study permit conditions, we require both of the following documents may hinihingi mula dun sa pinadala ng sulat. A formal letter from your designated learning institution confirming your current enrollment status. And pangalawa, current and previous transcripts from any designated DLIs you have attended in Canada. It's pinapa-upload sa isang portal. Tapos yung bold letters, pang ilang linya ba yan? Basta yun sa baba, no? Sabi dito, failing to provide the required documents within 21 days could result in the loss of your temporary resident status in Canada. O, kita ninyo? Parang compliance check, ano? I do not know kung ano po ang batayan, kung sino ang dapat padalhan nito. For all we know, it could be random too, right? Subukang i-check, ikaw ba, pumapasok ka? Compliant ka ba sa iyong study permit? Diba? Kasi kung hindi, ayun na nga. Kung hindi ka mag-reply dito in 21 days, eventually pwede kang mawala ng temporary status mo. Naisip ko dito, if only part to ng checks and balance ng International Student Program noon pa, diba? Ang laking tulong na magagawa nito. Sana noon dati pa nila naisip at sabihin sa mga estudyante na, oh, kapag kayo ay international student, ha, for example, every 6 months, i-require namin kayo na magbigay ng mga update sa inyong pagpasok sa school o anuman. That could have prevented a lot of non-compliance when it comes to study permits, right? Anyway, yun lang naman. Dito po natin tatapusin ang ating episode. Let me know what you guys think. I'll end this here. Bye, everybody!